Okay, so let's talk about the global energy transition. It's one of the biggest stories out there. We hear about it all the time. But what's really going on? What does the actual data tell us? Well, to figure that out, we're going to follow the money.
And we're going to start with this number, $1.8 trillion. Let that sink in for a second. That is the record-breaking amount of money that was invested in clean energy in just a single year. It's a truly massive figure, and it's where our whole story really gets started.
So, when you see a number like that, all this cash just flooding into solar and wind and electric cars, you'd think, okay, great, the climate crisis, it's pretty much a solved problem, right? Well, as we're about to see, the real story is a lot more complicated than that. Okay, let's kick things off with the undeniably good news, because there's a lot of good news. We are living through what is truly a historic acceleration. A whole new energy economy is being born, and the momentum, it is absolutely real.
Just look at this chart. This right here is a major tipping point. For the first time in history, the global investment in low-carbon energy, that's that big bar on the left, is now dramatically outpacing all the new investment in fossil fuels. And listen, this isn't some projection for the future. This is happening right now.
And this, right here, just shows you how quickly the tide has turned. Let's make it super simple. For every single dollar that's still being put into oil, gas, and coal, $1.70 is now flowing into clean alternatives. I mean, the financial momentum has clearly, decisively shifted.
And you know, this isn't just about abstract numbers on a screen. All of that investment translates directly into real-world jobs. As you can see here, the clean energy sector has actually become a bigger global employer than the entire fossil fuel industry, and it just keeps growing.
So you have to ask, what is fueling this incredible boom? It's not just government policy, it's not just goodwill, it's something way more powerful than that. Plain and simple, falling prices.
Check out this timeline. A little over a decade ago, back in 2010, solar and wind, they were expensive, kind of niche technologies. But by 2017, they hit this huge milestone where they became cost competitive. But the truly game-changing moment is happening as we speak. Renewables are on track to become the cheapest source of new electricity in all of human history.
And this right here, this is really the core of it. This whole transition, it's not really being driven by environmental ideology anymore. It's being driven by cold, hard economics. In most places around the world today, building a new solar farm or a new wind farm is just the smartest financial decision you can make.
So, okay, the acceleration is real. The economic argument is solid. The progress is absolutely undeniable. But, and you knew there was a but coming, this is a very big but. It's time for the reality check. And that brings us to the first major challenge, this really sobering gap between the progress we're making and the pace that climate science tells us we actually need to be at.
Remember that record-breaking $1.8 trillion we started with? Well, as you can see on this chart, it's less than half of what the International Energy Agency says we need to be investing every single year if we want to hit our net zero targets.
Let's just put those numbers right next to each other, just to let the scale of this challenge really sink in. What we have is an historic effort, no doubt. But what we need is an investment level more than double that, year after year after year. We're basically running a marathon at a sprint's pace, but the problem is we need to be running even faster.
But the gap isn't just about the total amount of money. The second huge challenge is where that money is actually being spent. And when you look at that, it reveals that this energy transition is a very uneven and, frankly, a deeply unequal race.
So this chart breaks down that $1.8 trillion by geography, and you can see immediately the vast majority of it is concentrated in just two places, China and the advanced economies of Europe and North America.
This simple table just makes the disparity incredibly clear. Over 90% of all clean energy investment is happening in just those two groups. That leaves less than 10% for all other emerging and developing economies combined. And often, these are the very countries that are most vulnerable to the impacts of a changing climate.
Okay, so let's try to pull all this together. To really understand the path forward from here, you kind of have to hold two contradictory truths in your head at the exact same time.
So on one hand, like we saw, the clean energy boom is absolutely real, it's accelerating, and it's driven by undeniable economics. That's true. But, on the other hand, we are still investing less than half of what's needed, and the investment we do have is dangerously concentrated, which means it's leaving most of the world behind. Both things are true at once.
And all of that leads us to the final, really critical question that this data forces us all to ask. The technology? It exists. The economic case? It's now crystal clear. We actually have the roadmap. So the only question that remains is this: do we have the collective will to close that gap and actually finish the race?